did the song go? Anyways, enjoy the content.
Hello, everybody. It's your boy, the Punk Otaku Scribe here, and welcome to the very first episode of Punk Reviews, where I'll be reviewing anime, movies, and TV series, both current and classic. And in this edition of Punk Reviews, we'll be looking at Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, directed by James Gunn. Now, I've been a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe its entire 16-year existence, and I've been keeping up with it consistently the entire time. Are you exhausted just hearing that? Because I am. Now, that doesn't mean that I've seen every movie in theaters on opening day or anything, but what I do mean is I've never had a point where I stepped back from it for a little while and I gave it a break and then came back to it another year and caught up on anything. Now, I've been caught up on it pretty consistently. Even after Endgame, I was satisfied with that conclusion, but I did say to myself, if it were to keep going, I'd watch, and I did. Now, Phase 4 is an entirely different story, and we'll get into that some other time. Now, just a quick heads up, this will be spoiler-free, as possible. I'm going to do a spoilers video later on after the movie's initial weekend, just to give you all a chance to see it if you haven't already, but it's going to be spoiler-free as possible. Anyway, without wasting any more time, let's get to the review. I saw this on Thursday night to a semi-packed house, and one thing that I always miss whenever there's these big, huge tentpole releases is I always miss the collectibles. Whether it's like the cups or like special popcorn tins, I'm always missing them. I never get to the theater on time. It's so frustrating. But I did get this. And I sheepishly asked, I was like, do you guys have any more of the Guardians popcorn tins? And the girl was like, yeah, I think we do. And she turned around and asked for one, and the manager's like, oh yeah, we got one right here. I was like, yes. Anyway, it was just a little side. I thought it was fun. What's actually really funny is I was hoping to get the stuff for Scream 6 when that was coming out, or when that was out, and they had like a ghost-faced cup, and they had the popcorn tin, but the theater didn't get them in time. People were so angry. Like, it was such a bummer. I asked for them, and the guy was like, yeah, they just didn't send them out. We never got them. You can order them online, though. So I was like, well, alright. But I got this one, and I'm like, so happy I did, because I'm always missing them. I just have the worst luck with those things. Anyway, I just thought that was a, I don't know, fun little aside. Just, I wanted to show that off. If you were to ask me to rank the MCU as a whole, the first two Guardians films would be really high up there. Maybe not at the very tippy top. They're not number ones and number two or anything, but they'd be high up there. I remember when the first one came out, it was sort of an anomaly, because casual viewers didn't know who the Guardians were. And comic book readers thought, the Guardians? Really? I mean, they're cool, and that's cool that they're getting a movie, but we're the only ones that really know who they are. So how's this going to work? Well, it would turn out that it worked really well. People flocked to that movie, and deservedly so. It was really good. I mean, to this day, I'm in love with that movie. And because of how good and successful it was a shoo-in for it to get a sequel. And Volume 2, I feel, is just as good, if not better. I know that there are people out there that don't really like it, and I mean, I don't really get why, but to me, I feel it's one of the better MCU movies. I really like that it goes bigger, it goes funnier. I just really love that movie, man. And I really liked the stuff with, Quill and Ego. I thought that was really good. So, when this one, Volume 3, was announced, I was ecstatic. And I waited with bated breath. And all of the stuff with James Gunn and that debacle just really put a damper on my mood, man, because I wanted this movie more than anything. And, I thought if anybody deserved a third film in terms of the individual heroes of the MCU, it was the Guardians, man. The Guardians are just something special, top to bottom. They just are. This movie, just from a business standpoint, was probably going to get made with or without James Gunn anyway, but I'm glad it didn't because I don't think it would have worked. Directors all have their own style, their own touch to their movies. And those first two Guardians films, despite them being a part of a franchise from a $1 billion corporation studio, are James Gunn movies. There's no denying that at all. So if this got made without him, and they probably would have tried to replicate his style, and it just would have felt so empty, I think. They would have had a soundtrack, and they would have had, the Guardians being quippy, but it just would have felt soulless, I think, if James Gunn was not at the helm of this movie. And luckily he is. This movie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, was worth every minute of the wait that we all had to go through. It is not just the best Guardians movie. It's hands down one of the best Marvel movies, period. This movie doesn't open with a big dramatic action sequence or some heavy flashback. It opens up very quaint. It's just Rocket Raccoon taking a stroll, singing along to Creep by Radiohead, and without any dialogue, you feel exactly what he's feeling. And it sets the tone for what to expect in his story moving forward, because this is his movie. More so than any of the Guardians, this is Rocket Raccoon's movie. And you get that from these opening minutes. And I think a lot more movies, action or otherwise, should take a step back and learn that sometimes you just need to have a simple opening like this. I loved it. Something happened to me watching this that hasn't happened to me in a long time watching any movie. And that's that at several points, I became breathless because of how intense it is. Adam Warlock's introduction was the first part that made me feel that way. His introduction, really shows how powerful he is and how much of a threat he could be. We'll get to him in a minute, though. But if you're looking for a Marvel movie that's got fun set pieces and explosions and really cool action fight scenes, you'll get it here. But that's not mostly where even the intensity lies. A lot of the intensity comes from the story that focuses on Rocket's past. It's dark and gritty and gut-wrenching, and if you're sensitive to animals being harmed, you won't be able to handle this movie. For instance, without spoiling too much, Rocket's past is told in sections throughout the story of the movie. And there's this one particular scene where he's lying on the floor of his cage with these other animals he's made friends with. And because they're just experiments, they don't have any names. So they're all giving themselves names. And when they get to Rocket, one of his friends turns to him and says, "Hey, so we're giving ourselves names. What's your name gonna be?" And he looks up and he says, "You know, one of these days I'm gonna make big flying machines and take my friends to the sky. And that's why my name is Rocket." And I went, "Oh God." Speaking of the animals in this, they look really great. Everything in this movie actually looks really great. But speaking solely on the creatures and animals that are a special effect, not a practical makeup effect, they look really good. And it's so refreshing to have special effects in a new Marvel movie that look really great, especially considering what we've been getting recently. The cinematography is also really gorgeous. It's a darker colored toned movie because it's a darker movie. Not that it's all dour throughout. There's a lot of levity because it's a Guardians movie, but the palette is a lot darker, but it still looks really good. I'd argue that Volume 2 looks a lot better, just color palette wise and cinematography wise. It's a lot prettier, but this movie looks really good too. Nearly everybody in this cast is just acting their faces off. They're killing it. I say nearly everybody because not every character needed to be a dramatic centerpiece, but for the ones that were, they went above and beyond. It was amazing. The others weren't bad, but they were fun. Like for instance, Adam Warlock, who I said I would get to. Um, you know how I said that his introduction could show how much of a threat he could be and how powerful he could be? Well, I said that because he's not in the movie much, unfortunately. What we get of him is fun, and Will Poulter does a good job, but yeah, he's just not really in it very much. And it's a shame because he was really cool. What they did with him was they kind of made him into like kind of like a big kid, and they have a reason for that. But I thought it was fine. You know, he's kind of goofy, kind of dumb. It was okay, but I hope we get more of him because what we did get of him was great, was really fun. And then secondly, Chikuri Auji as the High Evolutionary was so scary good that I hated him. I hated him very passionately, but in the best possible way. The High Evolutionary in this is cruel and malicious and is just old school crazy evil. And it was kind of cool to see a character that was just old school crazy evil again in anything, you know. Um he was a blast to watch. He terrified me just because of just how horrible of a person he was. Yeah, man, when the High Evolutionary gets what's coming to him eventually later on, it's so satisfying. It really is. There is so much more that I want to talk about, but what I want to bring up, I feel would be better suited for the spoilers video, so I'll say it there. But I will go out on this review saying that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is the movie we have been waiting for in this new slew of Marvel properties. It has that phase 1 through 3 MCU feel to it. It really does. Like I said, it's such a good thing that James Gunn was allowed to come back and be at the helm of this because it would not have been the same without him. Man, this movie, you'll laugh with it, you'll cry with it, but either way, you're going to come out saying, man, that was a good movie. If you liked this video, give me a like, drop down in the comments, and let me know what you thought of the movie if you saw it already. And if you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, or follow all my socials that are down in the description. I've been the Punk Otaku Scribe, and I'll see you in the next one.